Hey, Mike. David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Do you feel you've positioned? You always talk about December football. We're here. Do you feel this team is positioned as well as you hoped it would be going into this stretch, just from health, how it's playing, and what sets up ahead of you?
I mean, definitely coming out of the first semester, I think clearly, you want to gather as many wins as possible, and then probably the second most important component is your team health. And I think we've been able to stay relatively healthy. And that'll be a key moving forward. So hopefully we're blessed in that area. But yeah, no, I feel very good about what we accomplished here the last 5-6 weeks.
I'm sure you and your staff were up here watching the game as you were getting ready. Just your thoughts on that game last night.
Oh, it was a good football game. Frankly, I only saw probably about the first 3 quarters. Because I was traveling. I traveled last night, but saw the rest of it this morning in the video. So yeah, definitely it was a good game. There's things that you're always looking for. Obviously, the weather was different there than it's going to be Sunday night. So yeah, you look at all those things.
Clarence Hill for Star Telegram. First thing, you heard anything on Leonard and whether he's made a decision between the Cowboys and Eagles?
No, we haven't. Yeah, no updates there.
What'd you say?
No updates.
And secondly, I know you watched the game, but just talking about the outcome now. This game, you had a chance to tie for first place, and what that means for your team. Obviously, you focused on yourself, but now the stakes are.
I mean, through the generosity of the media, and you frankly have all the playoff scenarios out there, so I don't need to focus on it at all. But yes, we want to get to this 10th win. We understand where they are. Get to this 10th win. So that's really, I really do like the stretch that we're getting ready to be on. And this, and I'll talk to the team more about this on Wednesday. But when you look at the teams that we're getting ready to line up, and obviously Philadelphia is all that matters right now. I mean, this is an excellent opportunity for us to play in playoff type games without playoff consequences, and I think that serves very well because December football is something that personally I've always enjoyed. I think it's a great indication of where you are as a team and what you need to obviously do to get into the playoffs and be ready for the playoffs. So we're looking for it. I mean, it's the Cowboys and the Eagles. I don't think you have to say anything more than that.
Mike Todd Archer with ESPN. When you have this kind of break, does your self-scout increase because you have a couple extra days in there?
It increases on what you can do on the back end of it. I mean, you got to do your self-scout every week. And personally, it's something that that's how I came up in the league as a quality control coach and have spent a lot of time. So I clearly understand the importance, the regularity, and the impact that it can make. But when you do have some extra time, you have an extra day with your players to implement more things coming out of the self-scout. So it's not that, okay, you got a break, now we're going to do self-scout. That's not the reality of it, because you do that every Monday and Tuesday morning. But it's really the extra time. I mean, I had 3 meetings this morning. We're just off of, not only the self-scout information, but, okay, hey, we can install a little more this week because of the things that we know what's in front of us.
Is there anything about the opponent's passing game against you guys the last 2 weeks that you need to look at and
Oh yeah, no, and obviously we don't want to dive into every little detail up here, and it's those are questions for both or all three really. Dan, Brian, and John. So it's really how are we going to attack this next trimester of games. Because you do have a chance to install a little more this week.
John.
Because we played 3 games and every how many games, so our game plans have been very, very tight.
John Michaud, The Athletic. So I don't know if you got to see it during the Eagles game, but their chief of security got involved with some players getting tangled up. Do you have to talk to your staff about that after something like that happens, or do you just trust that, hey, they know, don't get involved with that stuff?
Well, I think like anything in our league, anytime something happens, particularly on a national stage, your emails go up. So I think the process is in place.
And those are emails from the league?
I got more emails today. So.
Michael Gelkin, Dallas Morning News. Aside from simple availability, what is Tyron? What is his presence meant to your offensive line? What has he brought?
I mean, left tackle. Obviously, it's played very well. It's graded out high. So I think I clearly see your left tackle position when you don't have to help it is, that I think that clearly tells you what the impact it gives you as an offense. I think the fact that all 5 of our linemen have been able to now stack games together is huge, and it's definitely a big part of some of the success that we're having on offense.
What does it do for Tyron to have Tyler next to him and vice versa, Tyler to have Tyron?
Well, I mean, we've talked about this in training camp. Those guys didn't have much time together, so I think the fact that you got two Pro Bowl caliber players, now getting in sync and getting their timing down, and they're only going to improve with each and every opportunity.
Saudis with The Athletic. Mike, you've been around a lot of different personalities at quarterback. Dak's personality, how do you see that resonate with his teammates, and what allows his teammates to kind of back him the way they do?
Well, I mean, it's just like anything. Everybody talks about the locker room, the place of each individual in the locker room. Obviously, the credibility of the quarterback is very high in every NFL locker room, especially when the quarterback is paid too. Because I mean, let's not think that doesn't matter in some of the everyday life and rhythm and climate, culture of a locker room. But Dak's done all the fundamental work. And I think coming in as a rookie, playing on a rookie contract, having the success that he's had, and just really the type of person. It's very natural for him. I would definitely, rank him very high in people skills, awareness, instincts. So he's very, very engaged with everybody in the locker room, and and I think we all understand that too. I mean, it's something. It's usually one of the first things you hear about Dak Prescott. So. And I think everybody, to a man, is so excited to see him have the success that he's having because of how everybody feels about him as a man.
I'm sure you guys have internal metrics and things like that, but Pro Football Focus ranks him as the best in terms of the least turnover-worthy passes or plays or whatever. What has kind of allowed him to be so good in terms of security?
Well, I mean, it's just the discipline, the connection with his teammates, understanding of the offense. He has total command, and it's something we frequently speak about. He needs to own the offense, starting with the cadence, the huddle command, just the schematic communication, the process during the week. And obviously, it always comes down to how you perform. And he has that personality. He has that clear understanding. So, I mean, I clearly feel strongly where he is and where he's developed, but frankly, excited about where these guys can go offensively. So, and it starts with his command and ownership.
Scott Dixon, the AP, with the historic run that Duran was on, how do you think he handled a difficult day, and how important is a day like that in the growth of a young player?
I think it's the life in the NFL. I mean, it's the reality of what these men compete in. I mean, by no means do you think a team, go back to Seattle, is going to come in here and play any differently. So, but yeah, I think this is a good experience for him. Something he'll clearly learn from. And at the end of the day, he's still got his hands on one ball. Clearly almost had the second one there at the end. So, yeah, I don't see. We haven't practiced yet. Obviously, the players have been off, but I don't anticipate any change in the way he approaches and the way he plays.
Yes.
Justin Mars, Pro Football Network coach. You talk about splitting this season into trimesters. Officially in the third trimester, what have you learned in the first two, specifically play calling with this team and this personnel?
Well, I think we'll address the third trimester with the team on Wednesday. But yeah, I think you look from 1 to 2. I think it's obvious. Offensively, we've taken a step. I think clearly the things that we have improved on, as we've talked about earlier, I think it starts with the offensive line. I think the offensive line, just the availability in trimester 1 and trimester 2 is a huge statistic, and I think the production that's followed that has been impactful. So, and hopefully we can keep building off that.
Kevin Green, 97.1. Coach, you've coached an MVP in Aaron Rodgers, and Dak Prescott is getting a lot of consideration now as being an MVP candidate in this league. What defines MVP for you, and is Dak Prescott in that discussion based off of what your criteria would be for him?
Well, it's the level of productivity and I think the consistency of it. you know, to be able to go out there week in and week out and put your team in position through production and performance to win the game. And he's obviously done it at an extremely high level here the last 6 weeks.
Todd.
Hendershot's availability, I think you have to make a decision by Wednesday. Do you know
Yeah.
what you guys are going to do?
Yeah, I think let's address that Wednesday. So, thank you.
And how do you think your tight ends, obviously you like what Jake has done, but how do you think your tight ends have,
Well, I think Jake's taking that big step that I think everybody was anticipating. I mean, it's something you can see, you know, signs of last year. You know, you see it on the practice field consistently. So, I mean, I don't think there's no surprise internally to see him hit this type of success. But, you know, yeah, I feel good about the other guys. We're young, and that's really what's really cool about that room, you know. And I think Lunda does an excellent job. We need that room to take another step here in this, you know, in this final stretch.
You want to finish, Todd?
I'm asking a couple of questions for you, buddy Domonsky here.
It's your buddy.
What drew you to Tom Clements?
What drew me to him?
Yeah.
Well, number one, he's from Pittsburgh. He was a great quarterback. You know, I don't know if you know Tom, but Tom's an outstanding football guy. You know, you need a connection, you know, from the head coach, the way we were structured there. You know, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the quarterback room. It's a lot like on a different level. Tom was very experienced, but it's really cool to see Scott Tolzien, you know, in that position now too. So how it all fits together is important because everybody trains a quarterback differently. Everybody has a method that they believe in, and Tom's probably one of the easiest and most intelligent coaches I've ever worked with.
And then he's developed, obviously he was around Aaron early, and now he's around with what Love's doing up there.
Yeah.
How does he interact with young quarterbacks to get them?
So consistent. Same guy every day. Eats the same thing every day. I mean, Tom is super consistent, and I think that serves well for any quarterback. And I you know, can't speak on exactly what's going on there right now, but I think it probably serves Jordan very well. I mean, he's done it. You know, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback in the Canadian League. You know, won a national championship at Notre Dame. So you know, he has that credibility. But he's the same guy every day, and I think that is so important for that room. You know, knows it inside and out. But yeah, I'm sure it serves him very well. You know, as far as the Jordan and the quarterbacks, you know, for the foundation that he's built.
All righty. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.